give an introduction when that happens. So my name is Jayantha. That's my given Pali name. I was formerly known here as Ferox. I've been on staff at the Buddhist Center for just about 2 years, and I do a couple different things here, including a Basics of Buddhism class every Sunday, and this talk. I am a 34-year-old lay Buddhist disciple of the Theravada tradition. Lay Buddhist means that I am not a monk or a master or guru or anything like that. I'm just a regular old lay Buddhist who is lucky enough to have a little bit of a teaching role here at the Buddhist Center. So what we have today is a Dhamma talk, and if you're familiar with Dhamma talks given by monastics, we follow pretty much the same setup, where there's two parts. There's a part in the beginning where the talk is given, and there's a part after that where questions are answered. Now, since I'm not a monastic and I like having a little bit more of a discussion than just me blabbing on for 40 minutes, which can and often does happen, it's more fun to have a discussion. So, while I'm talking, if you want to ask a question, make a comment, feel free to do so. You don't have to, you're not interrupting me if you make a comment or you have a question while I'm talking. So, with that being said, I usually, when I do my walking meditation, a topic kind of comes to me. And I haven't really, the last 2 weeks, I don't know what it is, but I haven't had any topics magically coming to me in my mind. But I did look today at some of the topics from the past, just the recent month or so, the topic ideas that I had come up with that I never ended up getting a chance to actually do. And one of those was talking about the threefold division of the Noble Eightfold Path. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say the threefold division of the Noble Eightfold Path? It's 3 words. Well, that's good. It's 3 of my favorite Pali words. When I go to Bhavana Society, the Forest Monastery in West Virginia, in the main building, there's a little painting of like a sunrise, and the 3 words are along the edge of the circular painting, and those 3 words are Sila, Samadhi, and Panna. If you're been practicing a little bit, you've probably heard the word samadhi. That's the term most commonly used with regards to talking about meditation. And I'll go over each of these 3 words and talk about them individually, in depth, and how they all kind of fit together. If you're familiar with the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha separated those 8 steps, those 8 path factors, into 3 divisions. The first division is Sila. Sila is often translated as morality. And the reason when people come to Buddhism, you don't often hear talks, and you don't often come across in books a lot of talk about morality. You're more concerned with meditation. What can this meditation do for me, for my anxiety? Can I have a better life through this meditation? And the Buddha taught that it was extremely important to develop morality in your life and in your practice. And what he gave the lay disciples, as a way to develop basic Sila was the Five Precepts. We've talked about the Five Precepts here. Five Precepts are, the Five Precepts and the Going for Refuge are the two basic steps that somebody does to quote unquote officially become a Buddhist. And the Five Precepts being not to harm any living being, not to take what is not given, to avoid lying or harsh speech, gossip, to avoid sensual misconduct, often translated as sexual misconduct, but sexual misconduct is part of sensual misconduct. Sensual misconduct being any kind of abuse or overuse of your senses. And the fifth one being staying away from any drinks or drugs that cause heedlessness. So the Buddha gave these five basic training rules, and that's what they are. They're not commandments. I don't want to spend too much time on the Five Precepts because I've done whole talks on the Five Precepts. And so he gave these five training rules, and there's an important reason why he did that. It's because to meditate clearly, to see things clearly, to have deep concentration, the more moral of a life you live, or sometimes I don't like to use the word moral, but since the term Sila is often translated as morality, it kind of flows that way. When you're talking about Sila, you're talking about skillful living, making skillful acts of body, speech, and mind. And a skillful act is something that is an act of body, speech, or mind that is beneficial to both yourself and to others. So, performing these skillful acts of not harming, of not taking what is not giving, of not, doing lying or harsh speech, performing these acts leads to a more positive lifestyle. And because you're not having to worry about, you're not having to keep track of all your lies, you're not having to worry about how you harm all these beings, or that you're sleeping with somebody else's wife or husband, or something. Because you're not doing these acts, the next step in the Threefold Path, the Threefold division of the path, comes a lot easier. And that next step is Samadhi, often translated as concentration or stillness. So when you have that base of morality, that base of skillful living, concentration comes a lot easier. There's a lot less worry because you're not worrying about all of the things that you've done and the repercussions, the causes and effects of those things that you've done, which allows you to concentrate deeper and to more easily see things as they truly are. So Sila helps us to more easily develop Samadhi. And of course, through Samadhi, through this concentration, through this meditation practice, we develop Panna. Panna. Panna is one of my favorite Pali words because it is, in a way, the goal. Wisdom is Panna. Panna is translated as wisdom. But there's a difference in Buddhism with what is called wisdom. In Buddhism, wisdom is experiential knowledge through experience. It has nothing to do with reading something in a book or being smart in that way. You graduated your PhD, you're very smart, or you're old, you've lived a lot. That does not guarantee true wisdom. Wisdom is experiential knowledge of seeing the truth of things as they truly are. And in Buddhism, wisdom is what takes the place of ignorance. Ignorance in Buddhism is precisely not knowing the Four Noble Truths as they truly are. Dukkha, or unsatisfactoriness, that all conditioned things are unsatisfactory, that craving is the cause of this dukkha, that there is a way to the cessation or the ending of this unsatisfactoriness, and that way is the Noble Eightfold Path, which is divided into three ways. All of the teachings kind of fit together in a nice puzzle piece. It's like putting a puzzle together. All of the teachings are interconnected in this way. And they're all interconnected into the Noble Eightfold Path, because that path is the way leading to the cessation. So we know that this wisdom comes from meditation practice. It comes from observation. It comes from mindfulness. And this is like the 3-step program. The living the skillful life allows you to develop higher and higher forms of concentration, which allows you to see things more and more as they truly are, which then is wisdom. When you see things as they truly are, without any perceptions or mental formations or anything attached to that, just completely objectively, that is wisdom. So I'm going to just quickly go over the Noble Eightfold Path and the way it's split up. So the first part of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view, right, or right understanding. And when we were finishing up 4 Foundations of Mindfulness in Plain English during the Dhamma readings on Sunday, and Bhante G actually puts them as skillful understanding. Instead of right, he uses the term skillful, which I like. And I think that makes a little bit more sense to me, because the term right can be meant in a lot of different ways. So, skillful understanding and skillful thought. These two fall under wisdom, Panna. When you have the right view and the right intention, you have this because of the wisdom gained. You see things as they truly are, so you know the right way to understand the world around you, and you know the right way to perform skillful acts of mind, speech, and body. So these two, right understanding, right thought, are in the wisdom group. Now, virtue group, or Sila, can be pretty obvious, because these next 3 parts of the Noble Eightfold Path fit within the 5 precepts, right? Right speech, skillful speech, not lying, not harsh speech, no gossip speech, all of these things. That's all right speech. right action, and right livelihood. Right livelihood being um, having a job or a profession, a career, a way to provide for yourself and your family that is beneficial to yourself and others, that's not harmful of others. So, of course, living with right speech, action, and livelihood, those two together, those three form that sila, that morality, the virtue, as it's also translated as. And concentration group, the samadhi, then you have the last three parts of the path: right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So this is how this middle path, as the Buddha called it, this Noble Eightfold Path, is separated into these three parts. And this is how they are interconnected, and how they work together to help develop our practice and our minds. This is the goal. This is how we get to the point of seeing things as they truly are. And when we do that, when we have this right understanding, when we have this wisdom that has destroyed ignorance, that is nirvana. That's nibbana. That is the ultimate goal of this practice, is to have that panya, that wisdom. And it all starts with living skillfully. I often think, most of us follow these rules just as basic human beings. Most of us don't break these rules on a regular basis. If we do, we break them in a minor way. So a lot of times we don't have these issues in our meditation. But if you practice meditation, you know how hard it is. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's a practice that you partake, that you put on yourself for self-improvement. Now imagine if you were, I don't know, for example, a murderer or something. You go out every day and you have to kill people. If the way your mind is now is hard enough to to understand and to be at peace with, imagine if you had all of these added issues that come from having, breaking these rules onto, yeah. Could you imagine? Now everybody that I know of that, when you read about people, people who have killed other people, even people like the Iceman or something like that, even people who you think that are like sociopaths, they don't have any remorse, this or that, they still see the people's faces that they killed. They still have these dreams and these nightmares. That's all this added fears and attachments and remorse and guilt that is in your mind. So all of this comes out when you meditate. It all comes out. Your mind, when you are observing your mind, it's all there. So is it karma what, that they see the people's faces and stuff like that? I mean, well, I don't know if you if that's really considered karma per se. Um, it's definitely cause and effect. So in a way, it is a sort of karma. When we talk about karma, what that is simply action. So whatever they do, the action that they do, or the action that we do, is karma. What happens as a result of karma is called vipaka, or fruit. Kind of like you reap what you sow, right? This is the fruit of your actions. This is what happens because you did this action. And in a way, yeah, I mean, having these nightmares and these seeing people's faces and stuff like that, that can be considered a sort of cause and effect because of your actions. Um, but in many ways, it's more when you think of that's my karma. That's more connected to your actual rebirth than something that might happen to you, like a mental thought. Your rebirth, or um, yeah. But the interesting thing about that is, though, is that if you change your life around and you start to develop Sila Samadhi and Panya, and you follow the path, then your mind changes, right? All of that, you're able to let go of all this stuff. And this is what is, um, if you're familiar with Angulimala, Angulimala was the serial killer of the Buddhist, the Buddhist stories, the Buddhist scriptures. This is a person who killed 999 people, and he became a monk with the Buddha, and he became enlightened. So, even if you do have these issues, you can still work towards, um, developing the skillful life. This is meditation is taught in prisons a lot now. This is something that was tried in India first years and years ago, but it's actually coming to America. And they the prisoners talk about their meditation. They do a 10-day Vipassana retreat where, if you've ever been to a retreat, there's no talking for 10 days, and you're kind of locked into this schedule. A lot of meditation, hours and hours of meditation. And when they interview the prisoners, they talk about how all of the stuff that was repressed in the past, when they did their meditation, it all came out. So, of course, their meditation is rough, but they can get past that. You talk to them, they have interviews with them like a couple years later, and how it's brought peace to them, and how they were able to forgive themselves, and ask for forgiveness from the people, the family that they hurt, the people, that kind of stuff. That's what the practice does. That's what this is about. It's not that you're locked into you're a bad person because you did this. When we can develop that sila little by little, it's a gradual practice, the Buddha taught. This is not something that happens overnight. It's not something that you do in large, grand actions. It's the same way with kind of like losing weight, changing your habits and your lifestyle, right? If you try that all at once, it doesn't work. It might work for a little bit, and then you can go back to it. If you try the Buddhist practice all at once, it works for a little bit, and then you're like, well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Meditation's hard. I don't. So you start with little steps, baby steps. It's a gradual practice. And you're kind to yourself, to your mind, and to your body. And as you progress through the practice, you see that it works. The more you progress through the practice, now, some people will say, they talk about how can they know if their action is good or bad if they don't have the meditation experience to know this. And that in a way can be, the Sila and the Samadhi are interconnected in that the more you live a moral life, the easier it is to meditate. And the more you meditate, the more you realize that there's no other way else worth living. So they kind of go together, and they kind of grow together. So the more you meditate, the happier you are, the more you let go, which has a lot of implications and benefits for how you live your life. And when these two parts, the Sila and the Samadhi, are growing and are flourishing, that is where the wisdom, that's where Panna comes in. So they all grow together. They're all part of this Noble Eightfold Path. And they're interconnected in that way. So, I think that's pretty much it for me. I've been talking for about a half hour. So, if we have any questions or comments, sometimes I have extra thoughts and I start yapping on again. But if there's any questions or comments, we can discuss now. If not, and if I don't have any further trains of thought, then we can end. Well, I think I can find a link for you guys actually. Yes, here it is. If you're interested, it's a little big, so if you're not used to reading a lot of stuff on Dhamma knowledge, it might be something for you to hold on to at least. It's important. Here's the link. And this is the Threefold Division of the Noble Eightfold Path by Payadasi Thera. And that pretty much, well, actually it goes into a lot more detail than what I did, than what I said. I just gave a very, very brief overview of these three, Sila, Samadhi, and Panna. You're quite welcome. This is why I talk about topics that are clear in my mind, because I don't want to, I like to, if I'm teaching somebody and they're unaware of this, I don't want to lead them down the wrong way. So if it's not clear in my mind, you're not going to hear me talking about it. Or if I am talking about it, I'm going to tell you it's not clear in my mind. But in the grand scheme of things, we all have to take charge, take control of what we learn and what we practice. Don't listen to me just because I'm sitting in this other cushion. If what I say is beneficial to you and works, then it's good. If it's not, then it's not. So. Oh, did you start reading that, JT? Or just, yes. Yeah? The book we're talking about, every Sunday nights at 5:30 SLT, we do readings from different. We start out with the suttas, but we've been lately reading books from different monks, and we're reading currently the Art of Disappearing by Ajahn Brahm, which is a really good book. And very good for talking about these kind of topics. So, okay, unless there's any comments or questions, and if you have questions, it doesn't have to be about this specific topic. It could be about anything in Buddhism. We can discuss. There are many here who have also been practicing for quite a while as well. So, and who are always participating and discussing, like Evil and JT and Damaris. We all learn from each other. That's why we are the term Dhamma brothers, which ironically is the name of that documentary about the teachers, the teaching the inmates Vipassana. If you've never seen the documentary Dhamma Brothers, I highly suggest it. We're all Dhamma brothers and sisters here. We are brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, in this Buddhist practice. So, we all learn from each other. Okay, friends. Well, until next time, which will be Thursday for metta meditation. Until next time, much metta to you all, and Sukhi Hantu, may you be happy.